Today we're going to be building a program using object-oriented programming techniques. Remember, an object-oriented program is simply a computer program that uses objects to model real-life things, and we use the power of the objects we create to solve problems. Today's problem is a simple one. We love dogs, but we don't have one. So we're going to use our object-oriented programming skills to create our dream dog, a brown German Shepherd named Roscoe P. Coltrane. There he is on the right. What's our first step? Our first step is to identify the real-world entities involved in our problem. In our case, the only entity is a dog. There he is, Roscoe. Next, we create an empty driver class. Remember, driver classes drive the program. Let's take another look. The driver class is in charge, and it normally consists of just a main method, and in that main method, we create objects and call their methods. You can think of the driver class as the conductor of your programmatic orchestra. So this is what a typical driver class looks like. It normally has an empty main method, and that's where your code goes. Let's create one now using NetBeans. Let's start a new project, Java application. I'm going to call mine OOP example dog. I'm going to make sure that I put that on my flash drive. I'm going to put mine in my Android class directory, but you could put yours almost anywhere. And then my main class is going to be my driver class. I'm going to put it in the com::stock example package, and my main class, my driver class, is going to be called dog driver, because it's the one that's going to create my dog object and make my dog behave exactly the way I've always wanted. All right, here we are. NetBeans has created me a little sample class. Let's see what's in my project. I've got source packages, com::stock example, and dog driver is my only class right now. Let's clean up some of the comments, and we should be left with an empty class with a main method. And that's where our code is going to go. That's how you create your empty driver class. If you go to the properties for your project and you go to the run category, you'll see that the main class, the one that will run when you press F6, is mentioned. If you ever need to change that, you can. What's our next step? For every entity involved in our problem, we're going to list its properties as well as its behaviors. For us, that's a dog. That's our entity. What are the properties of our dog? Breed, color, and name. What are some of the behaviors? Well, I want my dog to bark, shake, and sit. And perhaps the most important behaviors is our ability to view information or change information about our dog. Next, we're going to create a class for our dog where instance variables represent properties and methods represent behaviors. Remember, instance variables go at the top of the class and they're normally private. They represent an object's properties, what an object is. For example, we are going to have 3 instance variables, one for name, one for breed, and one for color. So let's go back to NetBeans and let's create our dog class. Right-click on the package, go to New Java Class, name it Dog. It should be in the com::stock example package. And there you are. Once again, let's clean up some of the comments so we can focus on what we're doing. And now it's time to create our instance variables. Remember, instance variables represent the properties, the things that our dog is. Our dog is its name, its breed, as well as its color. Excellent. I'm going to format my code, save it, and I'm in good shape. Now we need to add the methods. Remember, the methods are the behaviors, what our dog can do. We wanted our dog to be able to bark, shake, and sit. So I'm going to create a method for each. These methods are going to be void because they do not return information. These are going to be simple methods that simply print something out to the screen. Public void bark, public void shake, public void sit. All the things I want my dog to be able to do. I'm going to go ahead and format this a little bit. For each one of these methods, I'm going to print out something to the screen just to prove to myself that we've called the method correctly. When solving real-world problems using object-oriented programming, these methods are going to have a lot more code and are going to do more meaningful things. But while we're learning, these system out statements work just fine to learn the concepts. So my bark method is going to output bark to the screen. My shake method is going to output shake, shake. And my sit method is going to output, okay, I just sat down. Now what? Our object is almost complete, but it's time to talk about accessor and mutator methods. Perhaps the most important behavior that every object has is the ability to allow others to access its data, either to view it or to change it. These are called accessors and mutators. Accessor methods are just like what they sound like. They give others access to the otherwise private data in an object. These are also called getters. This is what a typical getter method looks like. Get color. It returns a string and it returns the color instance variable that belongs to the object. We also have mutators. Mutators are methods that allow others to set or change otherwise private data that belongs to an object. These are also called setter methods. This is what a setter method looks like. It'll normally begin with set. There'll be a parameter that's passed in by the caller that will change the value that belongs to the object. Notice the this.color. This refers to the particular object that we're dealing with. What's great about NetBeans is you don't have to create these on your own. You can press Alt-Insert and choose Getter and Setters. Choose all of the instance variables that you want to create getter and setter methods for, and it will automatically do it. For example, name. Notice how there's a get name and a set name now? That's your accessor and your mutator, and this was automatically created for you. Notice the use of the this operator. This is necessary in order to tell the difference between the parameter and the instance variable. Notice there's a getter and setter for breed as well as color. Once again, Alt-Insert, then select getters and setters to have NetBeans do this automatically for you. There's our dog class. Now it's time to complete our driver class. Remember, the driver class is the one that creates instances of objects and then calls their methods to solve problems. How do I create an object? You use the new reserved keyword. When you create an object, it's also known as instantiation because you're creating a new instance of a class. Here, we're going to create a new instance of dog. Notice how we're using D to refer to our new dog. Those are called reference variables. Let's go back to NetBeans and go to our dog driver class. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a new dog. This is how you instantiate an object. You start with the object's type, you list a reference variable, the assignment operator, and then you use new to create that dog, to instantiate that dog. Once we have a dog and we have a reference variable to it, we can call its methods. We want to set the dog's properties, and then we want to have the dog behave just the way we want. Again, we use reference variables to refer to the objects that we've instantiated. Let's go ahead and let's set the properties of the dog. d.set breed. This is going to allow me to change the value of breed for the particular object. Going to set the color. I've always wanted my German Shepherd to be brown. And then I'm going to use the object's setter method for name to give my dog a particular name, Roscoe P. Coltrane. Once you've created an object, you can use any of its methods, just like this. Now that we've set the properties of our dog, we've defined what it is, now we can deal with its behaviors. We can use the same reference variable, d, to make the dog do whatever we want. We can call any of its methods. So let's have our dog shake. Let's have our dog sit. And let's have our dog bark. We can make an object behave any way we want. We can also call an object's methods in other ways. For example, I can call an object's method and include it in one of my system out println commands. In this case, I want to print out to the screen, I just made Roscoe P. Coltrane shake, sit, and bark. Notice how I'm using d.getName. I'm calling one of the getters on my dog object. If I save and run this program, my dog should shake, sit, bark, and then I should see some output that said I just made Roscoe P. Coltrane shake, sit, and bark. And that's what we have. This is how you create and use objects to solve problems. Have a great day.